Language. Is it more like learning to walk or playing the piano? Is it innate, a natural part of human development, or is it learned and must be explicitly taught? That's the question of today. Hello, my name is Christopher and welcome back to Ling, Linguistics for the layperson. I'm really looking forward to continuing our talk about language acquisition from January by discussing the all-important innateness hypothesis. So, as the name would suggest, this theory, and I'm using that word casually, posits that the ability of humans to use language is innate. In other words, we are genetically predisposed from birth to recognize speech patterns and acquire language in a unique way within the animal kingdom. It's hardwired into our brains as a biological adaptation from millions of years of evolution. The architect of the hypothesis is Noam Chomsky, and whatever you think of his politics, there's no getting around his groundbreaking influence in this field. This idea of linguistic nativism is part of Chomsky's larger work on universal grammar, which refers to a theoretical set of intrinsic structural characteristics that all languages share and which infants are innately aware of. Here is Chomsky writing, quote, "The speed and precision of vocabulary acquisition leaves no real alternative to the conclusion that the child somehow has the concepts available before experience with language and is basically learning labels for concepts that are already a part of his or her conceptual apparatus." Okay, so now let's explore some arguments in support of the hypothesis, the most fundamental being that basically all mentally healthy humans learn to speak. In fact, we do so within only a couple years' time of exposure, and our ability to acquire the many complexities of language declines significantly with age, as we've discussed at great length before. Then there's the controversial poverty of stimulus argument, which observes that children are able to learn spoken language without being taught formally, as they do require for reading. Children figure out the rules from sloppy linguistic data, the often ungrammatical and incomplete sentences spoken around them. This might suggest that we have an inborn need for language. There's also neurobiological research on speech disorders resulting from damage to different parts of the brain's speech control area. For example, an injury to Broca's area or Wernicke's area in the left hemisphere can impair a person's syntax or semantics respectively. Now let's examine some of the arguments against the hypothesis, the most fundamental being that language is just so interwoven with culture, as we discussed in the Sapir-Whorf video, and it's passed on through human contact. Children always speak the language of their surroundings regardless of their genetic makeup. Then there's the issue of the critical period, which we also have videos about. If indeed there exists a special window of time for children to acquire language fully, it might cast into doubt the validity of true innateness of language. Finally, there's the question of intelligence. Unlike other mammals, perhaps we humans enjoy such advanced socio-cultural interaction from which language arises because of our higher cognitive function, not because language itself is actually hardwired into our brains from evolution. Personally, I am torn on the matter. I'd like to think that language acquisition is both part nature and part nurture. If we go back to the analogy from before, it's not like by listening to Mozart as a baby you would automatically pick up his skills on piano, as much as some parents would prefer otherwise. Language doesn't need to be taught like that. But then again, children can't adopt it completely alone, as they usually do with walking. They require spoken exposure from caretakers. Alright, that's all for today. Please give this video a like if you learned something, and let me know in the comments section what you think of the innateness hypothesis. To what extent do you believe language comes programmed within us? Are you an empiricist, a skeptic? Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video. My sources are in the description, and as always, thank you so much for watching.